to have sunshine for the first time in about 12 days. Is it going to happen or not? So I'm looking forward to this very day and see what is going to happen. Because if we're having the maximum chance of rainfall at 24%, that means we might be able to have sunshine today. Yes, there's somebody who was asking me for those who have been using solar system, have they been able to use the solar system in the past 1 week? I don't know what the answer has been from your own part. Okay, my name is Franklin and Ebuka, and this is Tuesday edition of this very program, this 12th day of August 2025. And today happens to be the International Youth Day. For the young persons out there, of course, we are saying happy celebrations and we are wishing you well, hoping that you are going to tap into the theme of this year's celebration and see how you can help us to achieve the development goals and the sustainable goals. That is the theme this very morning. So once more, thank you for joining us and good morning. So let's get to meet let's go to meet my colleagues who are right here with me in the studio here. Of course, my striking partner, Chisom. I don't know whether I should call her Benjamin Sesko or Jokeres. I don't know where she belongs to. Good morning, Chisom.
Good morning, Franklin. You were talking about the weather. I like to think that sometimes now you wake up with moonlight as against sunshine. You know what they say, the sun sets in the morning, right? The sun rises in the morning. Some days you wake up and instead of rising, the sun is setting because of the way the cloud is going to be and the way the cloud is sometimes. And, it's something that is periodic. And apart from the occasional disasters that come with it, I like to think that it's okay. It's not a big deal. But of course, we have the disasters. And if only we can, as a people, I mean Nigeria generally, mitigate the effects of this weather shifts, I don't think it's a big deal. Good morning to you once again.
Okay, do you like the weather? Do you prefer it when it is sunny or when it is cold like this?
Please keep that sun away from me. Keep the sun far away from me.
Okay.
Yes, I prefer it, not very rainy, I like it when the weather is calm, not too sunny and not too rainy, simply put.
Okay. In between, equilibrium. All right.
Especially since our roads are very bad. Probably if we had better roads, a lot of people would be complaining about the rains. But you see, once the rain starts, the roads are a total mess. I'll give you an instance. You see Onitsha Road. As we speak now,
it's a no-go area.
It's a no-go area. A trip of 15 minutes would take you approximately 45 minutes or 1 hour. And that is because all road users are cramped into just one side of the one lane, right, of the road. And even in that one lane, there is a big pothole, which is worsened by the rain. So I don't know, probably we wouldn't be complaining much about the weather if we had all things in place to enjoy the rain.
And for those who love their skin, maybe it's a good weather for them. So let me hear from Tony. I don't know if he loves his skin or he careless about it. Good morning, Tony. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Franklin. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, in Anambra. Good morning, in the Onitsha. This time around, we also add good morning in the Onitsha North 1 state constituency because we know what's going to happen this very Saturday. And good morning, God Almighty, the maker and finish of our faith. And good morning, everyone under the reach of our voice. And I heard both of you talking about weather. For me, we have come to be. And most importantly, it's good for one to take care of himself and also herself. And I know women love their skin more than men. There's no doubt. But there are some men who prefer to pay attention to things like that. But as a typical Igbo man, your priority should be you put your eyes on the ball, not the skin. So those things will come when it should come. But I tell you, as far as your health is important. When we talk about health, not naturally how your skin appears, whether it glitters or not, if it is glowing or not. The most important thing about a man his worth and value. I wouldn't want to say ego because I wouldn't emphasize on that. His worth and value. That is a man not how the skin glitters. After all, not all that glitters but good. But all the same, we are here to do what we are supposed to do. Back in our sanctuary to pontificate the truth.
And one guy said that every man has a voice, but the pocket increases the volume. That's what it said some time ago. Okay, so we have to look at the headlines we have this very morning. Of course, we have 4 newspapers for us to look at: The Punch, Nation, Vanguard, and Guardian newspapers. And we have to begin with the headlines we have on Punch newspaper. And there is a banner headline here that says, "Panic in ADC as EFCC goes after key members." The story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. It has a rider: EFCC agrees coalition member Tambuwal over 189 billion naira fraud, insist on probe. The second rider says key coalition members push back as anti-grad body summons 3 ex-governors. What an interesting story. It was nice that we heard about Tambuwal, who was invited by EFCC for interrogation, and he's been detained, and there have been reactions toward that. Then we go over to the story beside the nameplate of the Punch newspaper. It says World Bank approves fresh 12.96 trillion naira loans to Nigeria in 2 years. The story is on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. Above the nameplate, FG generates 5.21 trillion naira from oil sales in first half of the year. That's H1. It's on page 19. IG extends tinted glass permit enforcement to October 2nd. Page 25 of the Punch newspaper. Government warns 3,598 workers of dismissal, orders fresh verification. The story is on page 26 or 25. You have to go through this very story to know whether you are affected and know when you are going to go for your verification. Then you can see picture stories on the front page of Punch newspaper, and the headline there says customs intercept 10 billion naira worth of arms, expired drugs. Then other stories: 5 face trial over 2022 or church terror attack. That's on page 10, and quite interestingly, the trial is coming 5 years after that very incident. Then another story says Ibon Air passengers remand ignites selective justice uproar. It's on page 5. And between yesterday and now, I think P2B has issued 2 statements on this. Like this very morning, I think the last one should about 45 or 50 minutes ago. And then the last story we have on the front page of the Punch says Ogun removes demolition seal as Daniel threatens a building with lawsuit. It's on page 25 of the Punch newspaper.
All right, then let's go to the Nation. Banner headline here is still on the EFCC matter with Tambuwal. It says EFCC detains Tambuwal over suspicious withdrawal of 189 billion naira. The rider here, operatives begin interrogation of ex-governor. It is witch hunt, says ADC. Find the story on page 2. NCC precludes its CEOs from taking appointments with telcos on page 7. Ogun government Daniel Rao over land escalates on page 2. Federal government reconstitutes boards of FCC high rep on pages 36 and 37. On pages 3 and 27, pardon me, 5 arraigned over 2022 or Catholic Church terror attack on page 4. 1.91 million apply for 30,000 jobs in paramilitary agencies on page 4. Unruly passenger remanded in Kirikiri. Airline operators of Nigeria. Okay, I can't exactly see that clearly.
Okay, it says Baz Emanson for life.
Okay.
It's very tiny.
Yes, quite tiny. They're virtually... okay, now I can't exactly see that, but it's relating to the Ibom Air incident. We're going to definitely look into that matter when we start the conversation proper, because a lot has been going on concerning that incident yesterday. Killing of 5 Al Jazeera journalists by Israeli forces takes toll to 238 on page 9. A really sad development there.
Yes, and the side of the story that actually caught my eye was the fact that Israel was not saying that happened by accident. Rather, it was an intentional target, saying that one of the journalists, senior correspondent, has a link with a terrorist. That was why they targeted him and then killed 7 others in the process, and 5 of them happened to be worker or staff of Al Jazeera television. Okay, so that's quite a sad one there. And from there, we'll move to the next newspaper, which is Vanguard newspaper. And the banner headline says, armed herders Boko Haram kills soldiers, others in Benue, Bomo. The story is on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. It has several riders. The first one says women protest fresh killings of 3 by herdsmen in Yerwata. Block Makrudi Lafia Road. Boko Haram attack military formation in Borno, kill 2 soldiers. NAF airstrike kills scores of terrorists in Zamfara. U.S. calls for coordinated response against Boko Haram, ISIS, and other terrorist groups. And the last rider says report of attack on troops in Kirawa, says theater commander. I think he was trying to make clarification, saying that report that there was attack in Kirawa wasn't in Nigeria, rather it was Kirawa in Cameroon. And then we look at the picture story on the front page of Vanguard newspaper. It's all about what happened between a young lady and Ibon Air. The headline, you can see headlines somewhere there that says Ibon Air passenger battles airline staff. And then under the story, and the headline says unruly Ibon Air passenger charged to court, remanded in Kirikiri prison. The story is on page 7 of Vanguard newspaper. EFCC grills ex-Sokoto governor Tambuwal over alleged 189 billion naira fraud. The story is on page 28. Owo Catholic Church attack, 5 remanded in DSS custody on page 10. Trump to meet with Putin Friday, promises to get back territory for Ukraine. The story is on page 8. And then, above the nameplate, Nigeria's non-oil export jumped nearly 20% in first half of 2025 on cocoa, urea demand. The story is on page 19. Kwam 1 value jet saga, industry divided over suspension of pilots, is on page 9. Hunger, poverty beyond mere statistics in Nigeria, Obi, story is on page 9. And the final story on the front page of Vanguard says attack on Tinubu, NYC certificate not okay. Attack on Tinubu, NYC certificate or not, my life is great. Ushie. It's on page 6, talking about the core member who had her service year extended by 2 months and had her discharge certificate withheld by the NYC. She's the one reacting now. I heard that Omo Irisho is going to lead the protest to NYC office today in favor of this very young core member. So these are the stories they have on Vanguard.
Right, then let's get to the Guardian newspaper. A banner headline here: glitches extortion as police insist on new tinted permit shift deadline. That's on page 6. Above that, you'd see panel chides NCOS over worsening sanitation and reform facilities on page 2. Reactions trail sanctions. Remand of unruly air passengers. FG decries rising cases on page 3. All right. On page 5, competent leadership reduced Argentina's poverty rate from 52% to 38.1% in 2 years, says Obi. And ADC accuses the FCC of witch hunt as Tambuwal held over alleged 189 billion naira breach. Protests rock Yelwata as gunmen kill 3 in fresh attack on page 30. NYSC versus Raye, vengeful act, says LP's lawyer threatens lawsuit on page 5. Oyebanji sacks commissioners, others in Ekiti cabinet reshuffle on page 7. Visually impaired protesters block airport road over closure of Farmcraft Center on page 8.
Okay, so these are stories we have on the front pages of the newspapers we have highlighted, and we want to tell you that you can go to our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM, and follow this very conversation. We have a live video there. You can drop your comment and at the same time share the video. We are going to appreciate that. On Instagram and the YouTube, we are Udala Radio. We also live on these 2 handles. Follow us and join this very conversation. Okay, so we will have to now begin this very conversation, but it has to start from home. Makanani is no Maloma Puanilo. Okay, so thank you for staying tuned to the Radio 104.7 FM. You are listening to the Polity. My name is Franklin and Chisom Chinedu and Olisa Mbeki. All of us are together for this very conversation. And like I said, we have to start from somewhere. Two things we have to quickly look at before we get to the headlines on the various newspapers. That's today being International Youth Day, which is actually a globally observed United Nations Day. It's an awareness day actually dedicated to youth and their role in society. And this very year, this very theme, that is quite interesting. It says local youth action for the SDGs and beyond. So that means the focus is on how youth-led initiatives at the community level are essential to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, with the celebrations, hosted in Kenya, which happens to be the partnership with UN Habitat. And I'm going to marry this with the other issue we are going to look at, which is the Onitsha North 1 constituency by-election, which is going to come up on Saturday. And of course, we have seen people who are contesting to win the votes of the constituents, and many of them are young persons. And those who are going to vote too, some of them are young persons too. So this seems like an opportunity for them to, take their destinies into their hands and see what they can change. But now, we just want to focus our attention on, the youth, and then looking at the election. What could be the parameters? What should people be looking at for when it comes to choosing who is going to represent them in Anambra State House Assembly, knowing that this is a legislative duty? And if you look at the functions of a legislator, is mainly broken down into three. But in most cases, what we have seen is that people who are vying for this position, they will tell you that, if you elect me, I'm going to do empowerment, I'm going to build roads, I'm going to do this, and nobody cares to tell you about the kind of legislative what the person can do. So for people in this very area, Tony, who will be going to choose who is going to represent them, what should people be looking at for when it comes to choosing who represent them in a state house assembly?
I think many of us may have known or may have not known the qualities of a good representatives, and these are some of the things that we should be talking about. I'm really disappointed that some of us have gone into different forms of sentiment, and the sentiment has to do with emotion, empathy, appeal, empowerment, and other things like that. And we know for sure that a legislator has different responsibilities. One has to do with making laws for the good government. That is one. One law made for a good government is far more better than a particular empowerment made within that period or made within a space of time. Because one law made for good government, which is driven by your constituents, their plight, is far more ahead of any form of handouts, peanuts, empowerment of any sort. We should note this. And secondly, a legislator goes there to represent the constituency wholeheartedly, speak for them, intervene for them, and ensure that whatever that is due for them, they get it. And he or she does that in a way of passing motion, especially as it affects the people of that very area. If there is any form of outbreak, negative, positive, the legislator brings it to the attention of the general house. And we remember, whatever resolutions passed is also communicated to the government of the day for their actions. Through motions, we have talked about the bills on the issue of process of making laws, and at the same time through interventions. And when you talk about motions, motions are orally moved and is expected immediate attention based on the urgent nature of the issue at hand. There are issues of urgent public importance, and at the same time ensuring that basic amenities of the constituents are protected and provided by the government through interventionism, bringing it to the plight of the government that there are potholes, many of them around the constituency areas, and the need for government to promote policies in area of education, in area of health, in area of security, and also in area of empowerment. It could be skills acquisition and so many things. These are responsibilities of a legislator. Telling government, because if you tell government and government does not act, you've done your bit, but it is not complete. It's not complete. It is only complete when you act and government responds. So it's important we understand clearly the role of a legislator. Some of them will go there and tell you we're going to build road. A legislator does not build road. A legislator attracts road, either reconstruction, rehabilitation, or construction of a new one. A legislator, through that interventionism, attracts projects to his constituency. And most times some people will tell you you need to be good with the executive arm for you to be able to attract some of this. Because if you're a legislator and you go all out there to fight the government, there is what we call constructive criticism. But if you go there with the intent to fight, some of these things will elude you, because human beings act mostly out of emotion. So there are people that will tell you, I will go there and question why. If you go there to question anything without lobbying, because one thing we should also understand as one of the qualities of a legislator, you must be good when it comes to lobbying. You lobby, you don't fight. You lobby. If you bring in anything for your constituency, in a form of motion or a form of bill, you must bring your colleagues. Tell them to support this. Lobby them, even when they have issues or reservation about what you are presenting. You'll be able to bring them on board to support that cause. That is the spirit of lobbying. And at the same time, you also be able to lobby the government. But it does not also preclude that if government does anything that is not good, you cannot speak up. You can also speak up because you are representing the people. Telling government, you got it wrong here, and this ordinarily would have been done right. And you should also be concerned about government policies, because these policies, most times we neglect them. These things affect daily lives. How we eat, how we breathe, how we go out and come back, government policies. So you should also be careful to ensure that these policies are well tailored in a way that it suits your constituents. These are more clear roles of a legislator. I've heard many of them saying, I will build this, I will build that. You don't build anything. You are not in executive arm. Executive executes. Legislators do what legislates. So you go out there, some of these projects, many of them are claiming to have built. They attracted it, they are not the one building it. They attracted it from the executive arm, which it was probably or domiciled in any agency of government that goes on to do that. But they were the one that pushed for it. That's the duties of a legislator.
All right. So Chisom, if you look at the three main functions of a legislature, and the very first one is about lawmaking, which Tony tried to explain, talking about proposing laws, sponsoring motions and the likes. Talk about representation, where you become the voice of the people, try to bring about the needs of the people before the executive. And then talk about oversight, where you have your eyes on the executive and even on the judiciary. And so these are the three main cardinal functions of legislator. And Tony talked about what it requires for you to be able to influence decisions in the executive. So does that mean that somebody who is aspiring to lead his people should be able to be a person of influence, somebody who has clout, and somebody who is of immense personality to be able to do this? Or can anybody go there and be able to influence him based on the way the person carries him or herself?
I think it's neither here nor there. When he talked about lobbying, it's the way the system has become, because you cannot just bring a motion to the House and have it assented to. It needs the support of other lawmakers. And so, yes, I recall when they said a good marketer can even sell ice to Eskimos. I think that's just what it has to be. So outside of the fact that you need the clout to win the votes, when you get to the House, can you walk the talk? Can you sell ice to the Eskimos in the House? Can you get them to support your vision for your people? That's a very big question that the average Nigerian would be asking before putting that thumbprint on the paper come this election. Oh yeah, we are using beavers now, so it's a different way of voting. I haven't been to the field lately, but I do know that if you are able to answer these questions for yourself, then the work is half done. But then staying with the recognition of Youth Day, I like to think that this is also a work outside of knowing what to do on election day. When we talk about the youth, having proper mentorship, are the people who we are sending there, are they people that we would like to tell our young people, look at the way they have gotten here? You should, follow in their footstep. Do we have young people? Do we have these people representing the interest of the youth in a way that sustainable development goals like education, like gender equality, like addressing poverty, the health and well-being of the people, can these people that we are supporting come up with legislations that would address some of these, or if possible most of these?
Okay, so it's a food for thought and for you to ponder over. Now we have to go over to the headlines we have in the various newspapers, and one of the burning issues in the country now is about what happened with a passenger on board Ibom Air. Now, if you go to X now, you look at the trend, you see that airplane is trending, air hostess is trending, Tambua is trending, and some other things. And so we have to begin this very conversation with that very story of what happened with a passenger who was on board an Ibom Air. Now, I'm going to take it from the Punch newspaper, but just to do a recap of what happened, because this incident happened on Sunday actually. The passenger was on board Ibom Air. They were to leave Uyo for Lagos, and from what we gather from the one narrative we already have from Ibom Air, was that when the flight was about to leave, of course, there was this announcement that everybody should switch off their phones, and the passenger identified as Comfort, or if you like, Kwamtu, she refused to put up her phone, and then after some altercations, a passenger close to her took her phone and switched that off, and the things were calmed down and they took off. But when they got to Lagos, another incident ensued, according to a report by Ibom Air, that the young lady, went to accost the air hostess who had asked her to switch off the phone, and that was where, hell was let loose, and everything got escalated from the video you have seen so far on the social media. But where things are going now is that same yesterday, there was this speed of light with which her case was handled. She was sent to the airport security. They took her, filed a charge against her, and she was sent to a magistrate court yesterday, where she was remanded that same yesterday. And since then, we have seen reactions. Now, the reactions are coming in from the point of the fact that they feel that there is selective justice happening in Nigeria. So let's now go to the Punch newspaper to see what the Punch is reporting. Punch is saying that the remand of the female passenger Comfort Manson in Kirikiri Correctional Center for allegedly assaulting an Ibom cabin crew member and some security officers during an Uyo Lagos flight on Sunday has triggered public outrage and accusations of selective justice. Viral videos capture the Manson slapping and kicking airline and airport officials, including a female air hostess, after she allegedly refused repeated instructions to switch off her phone before takeoff. In one clip, she was seen being dragged off the aircraft by airline security operatives. Ibom Air, in a statement, accused the passenger of nearly using a fire extinguisher from the aircraft to attack officials before being restrained. The airline confirmed it had reported the incident to the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority and had imposed a permanent travel ban on a Manson. Now, we have to also add that it's not just only Ibom Air that has placed this live ban on a Manson. Other airlines, through the association, they have also placed this live ban on her, simply meaning that she can't use any of the airlines we have in this country to travel either locally or internationally. And from what we know now, we have seen a flurry of reactions on social media. People are saying, if Wasiu Ayinde, known as Kwan One, had a case that shook the nation, and he only apologized, and he wasn't charged to court, and all the airlines did not place a live ban on him, then we now have a young woman who also had unruly behavior, and all the airlines have descended on her, and some other things have happened. So different reactions, but we have to start from the foundation, Tony, so that we get to also educate people who are listening to us. Now, the first thing I want us to look at is, let's look at that very incident and the way it's handled. What do you make of the action of the air passenger? That's number one. Then the response we saw from the air crew and the airport security, and now how the entire matter has been handled so far.
If I is a disgrace, when I say that this country is a lawless country, institutions are not even professional in everything, is a clear case. We have seen it times with that number. When this happened yesterday, we tried to paint it down, but most importantly, it tells you the kind of society we are in. I'm really disappointed with even the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria. I'm also disappointed with even the Civil Aviation Authority, the NCAA. Naturally, why we have institutions, why we have authorities, why we have things like police, the SX, because we know there are those who will bend the rules, because we know there are those who will flout the order, the law. We know that there are those who will be unruly. That's why you are there. You are not there to attend to those who are purely conformist. You are not there for them. You are there especially for those who tends to be non-conformist, the unruly ones. That is why you are paid. Now, how do you go about that duty? It's a shame the way and manner they handle it. The passenger is completely unruly, very unruly. But those who handled her issue, they are paid for that. How do you handle such things? You are paid for. So you want situations where you'll be monitoring, standing like an Iroko tree, and everybody conforms with order, conforms to the rules, even without your intervention. That's not the kind of job you are employed for, because it's expected that there are times you have unruly, even mad people being conveyed. How do you treat them? I think from what happened yesterday, you've read the report, there's no doubt. Yes, that a young lady who boarded the Ibom airline en route Lagos from Akwa Ibom Uyo became unruly. The word there is unruly. She couldn't turn off her phone when she was requested. In fact, it took the intervention of the pilot in command to ask her to switch off her phone before the aircraft could even fly. Then the crew and many of them came all out asking her to do what is expected. She never did that. But then
that's just one side of the story.
I'm coming. Immediately, the pilot in command came in. It happened that probably she complied. But I'm also concerned that once the aircraft landed, we are told, according to the story, because the girl has not spoken. I don't know if she has spoken.
Some persons who claim to be on that flight with her have come out to make a couple of statements, but I'll let you finish.
No, because from the stories we got, that she went to the very air hostess who was more like pressing that she does this, she does that, and she confronted the purser. The person who is the head of a cabin crew is called a purser. She confronted the purser, according to the report, physically assaulting her, stepping on her, tearing off her wig, removing her glasses, throwing them to the floor, and slapping her multiple times. And we also told that she also slapped another cabin crew member who tried to intervene. We also told that worsening the situation, the same Comfort Emerson attempted to detach a fire extinguisher, presumably to use it as a weapon, which poses as a serious risk to aircraft safety. But the pilot alerted the airport security. But even when they arrived, she continued to assault both Ibom Air Security and farm, and many of them. She was ultimately restrained and forcibly removed in that very shameful way. The point I'm trying to make here is this. Let's assume, without conceding, that she did all these things. Threw the wig on the floor, removed the glasses of air hostess, detached the fire extinguisher, slapped her multiple times. Let's assume, without conceding, the way Federal Airport Authority and Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, the way they handle the issue, purely shady, poor, unprofessional.
In what area? Sorry. In what area? Because you're mentioning the FAN and NCAA. So in what form did they handle it badly that you are making reference to?
Now, the way the girl was bundled out of the aircraft to start with. Secondly, the air hostess who blocked her from leaving the aircraft. You don't have powers to detain somebody in the aircraft over whatever you perceived. You are trying to enforce arrest, right? And you think the best way to ensure that she gets arrested is to ensure you block her movement. And because in blocking her movement, that was the time she started the slap. Because for her, she felt you can't block her movement. See, my concern is these people, both the air hostesses, those people, because we must let you know what these people stand for. When we talk about Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, one is a government agency. It is a kind of a regulatory body for civil aviation in Nigeria. They are responsible for licensing airlines, certifying pilots, even and crew, setting safety standard, monitoring compliance, and enforcing aviation laws. That is the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. So they have their act amended.
So Tony, I'd like to come in here because before you proceed, you just mentioned that someone blocked her. Every story has so many sides. And there is another version of the story that has it that because of the altercation they had before taking off, she had been reported, and the plan was that when she got to Lagos, she was going to be detained. And so that was where report has it that the lady now, the purser tried to stop her from leaving. And that was how the whole fracas started off. But some people also allege, I saw a statement from a lady who alleged to be in that same flight and said she was even sitting on the same row with this lady, and that the initial conflict of turning off her phone in Lagos, she gave the excuse that her phone, the side button for turning off her phone was bad, and the air hostess said, you are using an iPhone, there is you don't necessarily need the button to turn it off, and she said she doesn't know how to do it. How about you take the phone and do it? Now, I'm not holding brief for her, but you can use an iPhone for the longest time and not even know how to turn it off, especially since you've never really had any need to. Now, like I said, I'm not holding brief for her. Probably there are certain features in your phone that you don't really care so much about, and you don't really bother about how some things are done. It could be a possibility there. There could be a possibility. I'm not saying that is probably the fact. And she also alleged that she told the air hostess, I take the phone, since you said there is a way to do it without turning off the phone. And the air hostess told her to please hold her, she's not going to touch your phone. And the woman alleged that she was spoken to rudely. But at the end of the day, they all flew to Lagos, and that they wanted to detain her. Hence, the entire drama of her trying to defend herself. And let's not even forget to point out the fact that she was literally stripped naked in that brawl. Two things here for me, Tony. For starters, my first question would be, like I said earlier, I'm not holding brief for her. Personally, I would tell a woman who is in certain situations, please comport yourself. If they say they need to detain you, respectfully follow them. I do not like the idea of putting up a show of shame and becoming the center of attraction and stuff like that. I would have said, comport yourself and follow them. They're not going to kill you or something. at most request to speak with your lawyer. So the first question I'm going to ask you is this one: the speedy nature of this judgment that has been passed to the point of banning her from flying for life. Do you not consider it too speedy? What due processes were gone through before she was banned for life? Number two, is there any truth in these assertions that, it's a gender thing? Personally, I do not agree. But don't you think that there should be laid down rules of consequences of certain offenses? Because what she pulled is probably not different from what Oshomole pulled. It's not different from what Kwanwan pulled. How come she's the one getting banned for life? Is there a laid down constitution where the consequence of putting up that kind of show is a life ban?
Let me put it to everyone. The woman has not been tried. She was just taken to a magistrate court, and the magistrate court gave a remand order that she be remanded in Kirikiri prison. She has not been tried. The airlines that gave or released no-fly list and whatever they did it in their own unconstitutional and illegal capacity. See, we must have always said it here.
Tony, is it actually illegal? Because from the aviation rule,
yes,
airlines have the right to mete a certain kind of punishment to passengers who are unruly.
Is it written somewhere?
Let me see. Hold on. You are talking about rules. Rules are not law. Rules are not law, and you cannot apply rules to be law. Let's understand things. I'm just trying to educate us on some of these things.
Tony, no, if you're trying to make this, that rules are not laws.
They are not laws.
No.
Yeah.
Rules, whether you call it rules or laws, or you call them bylaws, they are meant to guide conduct of persons.
Okay, now we have,
and some of them do have consequences.
Exactly my question. The second question I asked: consequences. Who made the consequences? Like, is it somewhere the way you kill somebody and you are tried for murder and you have probably a life sentence, or even depending on the gravity of your offense, they give you a number of years that you're probably never even going to live up to, even if you were not in jail. I am asking again, Tony, is there like a laid down constitution where it is said if you try to cause any sort of fight in a flight in schools, it's known, if you fight you get rusticated? Life ban, Tony. We're talking of a life ban here. So she's not allowed to fly in Nigeria anymore, forever. Think about it.
Let me say this thing, because sometimes we take decisions without possibly having cause to the court of law. I've always said it. I wanted to explain something before, because I want to take these things one after the other, then questions will come. One, let me emphasize here, rules are not law.
Okay. But
rules intend to guide. You have INEC rules. You remember Supreme Court ruling, when INEC rules presupposes that this should be done, but Supreme Court say, treat away. INEC guidelines are rules. And remember, some parties had gone to court to demand and to tell the court that INEC did not follow his rules, his own rules. Supreme Court made it known that rules are not law. Made by who? Even when Electoral Act decides or even tells INEC, make your own rules. INEC is trying to say we derive the powers to make our own rules by the virtue of the Electoral Act, which mandates us to make our own rules.
So let's take it back to the aviation sector.
Now let's take it back to rules. Definitely, if you look at the law governing this issue, the Civil Aviation Act of 2022, under Section 85 of the Civil Aviation Act of 2022, passengers who assault crew, ignore safety instructions, or threaten flight safety, commit criminal offenses. Violators face fine or imprisonment. Who gives fine and imprisonment? The courts, not the airlines. I don't think that's what I'm saying. We are talking about Nigerian Civil Aviation Act of 2022. Most times, I have always said it many times here. People takes the responsibility of the court. Why do you have the court? Sometimes they will tell you we have these rule or guidelines that if you don't do this, we fine you. Who told you? And I've searched, I've followed law everywhere in the world. It is the court that gives fine. Most times, there are so many agencies that will come out and tell you that if you violate this, we will give you fine. If you do this, we will give you fine. So you are now the accuser. You are now the prosecutor. You are now the executor. You are now doing everything. That is not natural justice. So you must have your own. Once you are accuser or the prosecutor, you cannot also be the adjudicator. You cannot be adjudicator. Because everything cannot go one side. Allow your role to be played. Your role is now the accuser, and possibly by the virtue of the law, you are now the prosecutor. But have it in mind, you cannot also be the adjudicator, somebody who adjudicates over that issue. You cannot be all. That is why the laws frown at agencies dishing out fines and all that, because what it means that you're also the adjudicator. But that's by the way. Let's leave that because we have to focus on this issue. I have said it here before now. The young lady, she has not been tried. She was only taken to a magistrate court where she was remanded to Kirikiri prison. And if you look at her charges, may not have been prepared. All right. So that's by the way. And the airline operators ditching out such unilateral ban, and I keep saying they do not have recourse. They did not need the court. You take these things to court, and the court decide yes, you have, or the fact court will give you.
We need to attend to some commercials.
So it's important. And let me also quickly say, I don't know, probably after the commercials.
After the commercials, definitely.
All right. So with us, we'll be right back.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Anambra Patriots for Soludo. APGA ndị Anambra gekwanụ ntị o, unu ekwekwene ka ewere unu wee gbochie ọrụ ọma Chukwu na Chichazi Soludo wee na-arụ na Anambra steeti. Unu makwa na anyụkọ mamịrị ọnụ ọkpụ ụfụfụ. Ngwa bịakọtanụ n'igwe ka anyị kwado nwanne anyị nwoke bụ Chukwu Chichazi Soludo. Unu afụghị ihe niile ọ na-eme na mbara dị iche iche site na Anambra North, South to Central. Na-ekwu okporo ụzọ niile nke ọrụgo, na-ekwu ụlọ akwụkwọ nke ọ na-emepe, na-ekwu hospital nke ọrụgo. Unu afụgono ka ụmụ nwaanyị anyị si wee na-amụ nwa n'udo free of charge. Ụmụ akwụkwọ wee na-agụ akwụkwọ n'efu. Ihe a niile ya na ihe ndị ọzọ ka Chukwu Chichazi Soludo na-eme na Anambra steeti. A na-ekuzi maka New Government House nke kwuru okwu ya kemgbe 1991, ya bụ 34 years na ya na Soludo arụgharịghị ya. Kedu maka New Solution Fund City? Nwanne m Soludo nọ n'ọrụ. Ndị Anambra ọrụ ọma ama nkwụkwọ agụ bịanụ n'igwe ka anyị kwado nwanne anyị nwoke bụ Chukwu Chichazi Soludo. Anambra Patriots for Soludo.
From the commercial city of Onitsha comes Udala Radio 104.7 FM, the voice of the region, where authentic news and entertainment meet. Udala Radio 104.7 FM, seriously authentic.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Alright, so you are listening to the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. It's 5 minutes past 10 a.m. My name is Franklin and Ebuka Franklin and Chisom. All of us are together on this very show. You can go to our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. So we're going to wrap up on this very conversation around the airline passenger who was bonded out yesterday and then charged to court, and now she's been remanded in Kirikiri prison pending when this very or rather pending when she secures her bail. So Tony said that the airlines, okay, I want us to distinguish it because another issue that has been raised is the issue of due process, because in as much as the airlines might need to take some actions, you're supposed to hear from the person, you know, who was accused of certain actions, and that has not been done, and then they went ahead to, you know, mete out the punishment. Now there is this argument between whether the airlines there's this very body of airline operators in Nigeria the one which is which the spokesperson is Dr. Obioro.
AON.
Yes, and
Airline
then
Operators of Nigeria.
and then the airline itself. People are trying to say, is there any way we can distinguish between what Ibon Air can do as the airline that was offended, and then what the AON can do?
I think Ibon Air is part of AON, so they are a member, and it's just a trade union. It's just a trade union, and they're trying to protect their members. And let me say this: I want to start by saying where the airline and the crew got it wrong. One, we have assumed that the young lady was unruly. Now, where did they get it wrong? First, the manner they spoke to her. That is one. Secondly, when the airline or the aircraft the aeroplane landed, the attempt to block her. That is second. Third, the way and manner they bundled her out of that aircraft. Now, the question is, what could they have done?
Okay, yes.
The question is, what could they have done? You are a trained professional. She is not a professional. But you have undergone courses, classes, investments have been made right in you. So first, you must talk to passengers politely, and then avoid any altercation. Where the passenger is not complying, you report to superior head. That is one. Then secondly, when she alerted, the pilot had alerted the airport security police. Leave police to do, even if she had left the aircraft.
You don't
even if
identify
she will still be arrested. Even if she had left the aircraft. Leaving the aircraft does not presupposes leaving the airport. There are so many checkpoints. Once somebody is on any list, you see police that will intervene. Please, you have to stay by, you have to stand by, you have to stay back. The idea of bundling her out of aircraft is amorous type. It's not different from what is going on at Holy Ghost Park or OP Worker. That is what we saw. Allow her to disembark. Definitely at different checks she will be stopped by security. Police would even let her know that you are under arrest and possibly detain her. Allow police. So the crew, we are doing the work of police. The crew, they assume, even the air hostess that was, the video was being made, she was saying, she slapped me. Tell your professional. Why are you blocking her way? You put her into some of these anomalies. In fact, she was provoked to some of the things she did. But no doubt, I'm not in any way saying that she is never unruly. She is. See, but that's by the way. Because my concern is, you are meant to entertain even mad people, even while on board. There are not everybody. There are people that are having depression. There are people that are having frustration. People have different kinds of problems. But you, as a trained person, you have been trained to absorb these problems, this shock. So I like what Festus Keyamo did. The Minister of Aviation said that the crew, they will be sanctioned, and even those that filmed the lady and released the video, Festus Keyamo said they will be sanctioned. The girl, definitely her own charges will be preferred, and she has to answer her own case. But she has power to sue the airline. If anybody, in fact, anybody she can sue the airline for such unruly conduct by bundling her out of the aircraft. That is one. And secondly, the AON that put her on no fly whatever, that is illegal. You don't have that unilateral power in a case whereby you're having choice. Court must be the one that the girl must sue AON. What do you call it? The Association of Airline Operators of Nigeria. Sue them. They don't have powers to put you on. See, you can challenge their actions in court. See, the truth remains that I have said it many times here. It's just like policeman on the road assaulting somebody because the person talks to the policeman rudely. That's what we see here. If you talk to policeman rudely, they will assault you. If you go out there, if you assault the policeman, it becomes a charge. All the policeman needs is to get evidence of that assault and then Charges will be preferred against you where you will prosecute. But some people will say, "Oh, Tony, you are speaking as if we don't know where we are again. Is it not Nigeria?"
Tony,
but I'm telling you, these are the way. In fact, I follow the International Aviation Standard guidelines on some of these things. If you want me, I will read out some of these things.
We need to go to some political matters. I mean, we have a lot on our table this morning, but then I think this first of all reminds us solely of professional ethics.
Yes.
For starters, how do we enforce rules in civilized societies? And of course, the aviation sector is one of those. And so how do you go about these things? It's not just about the rules being there. How do you carry out these things?
Enforce these rules?
Also, on the rule of law, which shows a double standard here, because in the case of Kwamwan, we had a lesser sanction. That was why I asked you when we started, where is it reaching? What does the law say about offenses like this? And finally, our citizens, when they act completely out of place, how do you address that? Do you tackle that responsibly, or do you also go to the lowest low? Because that was what we saw from those operators. They descended to the low. She went low, they went lower. And that was why we had that show of shame. And so I think at the end of the day, we hope that we learn lessons from this, and the citizens are educated on responsibility. What do they need to know? Some first-time flyers, what are there, like some persons educating them? This is like the standard, and if you do not go by this standard, you are going to cause us a lot of trouble. Do they know that this is not just about their steeds being tampered with? It's about the safety of everybody on board.
Definitely. That is why most times, because of safety, any airline, because of safety, can even ensure that a passenger does not fly with them because of safety. Safety is number one. If anything will constitute safety breach, there will be immediate action to avert any form of disaster. That is one. And secondly, the issue of double standard. See, I'm not an emotional person. I don't raise sentiments. Talk whatever you want to talk. But I stand on where the law stand. What does the law say? The law does not look at fakes. The law does not look at emotion. The law does not look at sentiment. Whether the person is black or white, or whether the person is a woman or man, the law is the law. The law has maintained some of these things, and if everybody had followed the law, these things would have averted. There are guidelines, there are rules, there are safety concerns. Where this passenger became unruly, what does the law say? How you are going to handle her? The law simply says, allow her to disembark, allow the airport security to get her arrested, and then prosecute her. From one evaded the law. Oshomole evaded the law because they, in any way, they breach security, they breach safety. Charges ought to have been preferred against them.
Speaking about charges, let's go to NDC.
All right, Tony. I just want to reference what NCA says so that we can go to the next thing. NCA say that it is not in its power to initiate charge or tie the person to court. It is within the power of the airline that was violated. So they said in the case of Kwam1, that ValueJet failed to sue Kwam1. That's what it did was to write to the AGF to recommend that social action should be taken against social because it lacks the prosecutorial power. Then, but in the case of Ibom Air, that Ibom Air chose to sue, and that's why we're having this difference in the manner with which the two scenarios were handled.
I disagree with them. Let me say this thing. Totally wrong. They are saying that it is the airline that are supposed to bring the matter before the court. So we have said it many times here that we have Civil Aviation Act, and we also have Civil Aviation Authority regulations. When such act is breached, so you want to tell me that it is the airline that will file a suit? Airline has its own part to a role, because if their aircraft was damaged, if anything was maybe damaged, or because any offense has one offense may have different angles to it. The idea is the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, you are the act that makes you a regulator, was violated, and you are telling me the airline will bring it up before the court. So if anybody breaches your act as a regulator, the airline does it. That is total rubbish for me. It's not true. You are there to enforce the provisions of the act. So they have a role to play. The airline can still bring it. So they are trying to do this to avert the issue of Kwan 1. Why Kwan 1 charges were not preferred against Kwan 1, or why Uchomole charges were not preferred because those airlines felt that we have settled. Okay. Even once there is a violation of any safety standard or breach of any, it is within the purview of the NCAA to initiate charges against these people, because you are the ones. So the regulation.
So we might also want to probe deeper to know why does this kind of thing continue to happen, because this is not the very first time of we're having this kind of incidents, and we haven't heard that any Nigerian went abroad and had the same issue. Is it about this issue of big manism that we always have around us? Is that why it happened? But we are going to respond to that. Let's really go to politics now, because there seems to be panic in ADC because of the EFCC action on some key members. From what we gathered yesterday, former governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambawa, was invited by the EFCC to come and answer questions regarding a certain amount of money was said to be missing from the account of the Sokoto State government. The money was said to have been diverted, 189 billion naira. They are saying that this money was fraudulently withdrawn, and when he appeared before the EFCC yesterday, he was questioned and detained. And since then, tongues have been wagging, especially within the ADC structure. ADC is saying that this is witch hunting, that the federal government is trying to weaken the ADC. That's why he's targeting about 3 big members of the coalition. Tony, is there sense? Do you think there's a sense in what ADC is saying, or this is just mere politics?
For me, this is politics. I have lost confidence in the FCC for some time, until they rebuild, until they do things that will make me have confidence in them again. The truth remains, we have seen governors who left office, and I dare to ask, apart from former governors, I'm trying to find out if there is any governor of class 2023, that is those that left office in 2023, that happens to be class or mate with Tambawa that EACC has invited. Look at allegations Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State has made against Metawale, governor, former governor of Zamfara State. By now, everyone thought that he had, according to him, he said he had provided prima facie clear court evidence that would even at least require that he be invited. He said he has met Mr. President over this, and then nothing has been done. That is, by the way. And there are other things he accused Metawale of. We know Ganduje left office as the Kano State governor, where there are issues, even videos that circulated where words of dollar we are seeing being exchanged, whether the video was doctored, whether it was real. At least forensic audit of the video will show if the video was real, fake, and all that. We had expected that at least question him on the role he played or the alleged video. Let him be the one that will tell you that the video was doctored. We didn't see that. I'm just trying to look at those governors that of the class of Tambawa. I'm not against Tambawa being invited. We have institutions that must work, but it's expected that institutions will work dispassionately across board. It was a case where a reverend gentleman had petitioned EFCC that Adams Ochomole be invited over money embezzlement, diversion, and so many things. He said during this time as a governor, he built mansion, he built helipad, he built quite a lot of things that the salaries and allowances of office cannot afford. Where did he get those monies? And then the reverend gentleman who wrote a petition against EFCC made it public, went to court to challenge EFCC that you must invite Adams Ochomole. Do you know what the court ruled? Court ruled in favor of EFCC and reminded him, you cannot tell them when to start their work and when not to start their work. That you must allow them to do their work when they feel convenient. It is time for them to do their work. When that judgment was made, the reverend gentleman did not bother to appeal the judgment and take it straight to the Supreme Court. It was a federal high court ruling that says that allow them time. They will do. You don't tell them. You don't detect for them when they will do their work. But he was saying, my petition has not been treated. I've written petition and I've given evidence and I'm ready to testify. But Ochiomole was never invited. In fact, court says you cannot tell EFCC when to begin their work and order. So when these works are done in this way, whereby it seems to be one-sided, people will begin to read political meaning.
So in this very case we have now, are you reading that political meaning into it, that EFCC is doing this or is working the script of the powers that be in the presidency?
For me, there was a time EFCC filed a nollie prosequi over a particular ex-governor. They had their case because that ex-governor submitted to the emergence of the Senate president. He was contesting. You know the man. You know the person. He was contesting, but he was asked to withdraw. And if he does, that something may come out of it. We are surprised that nollie prosequi was filed in his name over the case. But when the FCC was asked, they said they can refile it, they can re-begin. So that is one. And secondly, when our own governor here in Anambra State, Ebuka, left office, we saw how he was tried by the FCC. We saw how they followed him at a point. We saw the video, the unruly video.
So are you trying to say that this supposed EFCC following up on Matawale is not because of the ADC affiliation? Is that what you're trying to say now?
For me, I'm just trying to give you background. Then you make the connections. See, the point is this.
Tony, hold on a second. You said Ebuka was summoned by EFCC. He's not the only person. I mean, he's not going to be the last person. Yahya Bello, you named them. The list is long. All right. I think also there was news that even Okowa, also the torchlight of the EFCC beamed on him already. So at the point it is happening, that's where the question is coming from. Why now? Why are they looking out for Matawale and the rest? From reports about 3 of them now. Sorry, what am I even saying? Tambuwal. Why are they looking at Tambuwal now?
The point remains that you ask, why are they looking for him at this point? Once a matter is a criminal matter, it can come up at any time. Let's understand this.
It has nothing to do with the ADC affiliation.
I'm just trying to give you the background. And once a matter is criminal in nature, it can come up, it can be called upon anytime. But based on circumstances, based on realities over time, one can easily presume that it has to do with ADC affiliation. Reason being that we've seen Wike left office. EFCC can never invite Wike over a lot that happened during his time as a governor. But that's one. And then we saw how Yahya Bello was treated until there was political intervention in his case. And we also saw how a former ex-governor, EFCC, filed a nollie, just like I said earlier on, he was asked to withdraw from contest of Senate president. And at the same time, we've seen quite a lot our own Ebuka here, how he was trialed, how he was treated. But there are those who are untouchable. See, for the fact that there are those who pride themselves being untouchable, and at the point there was this statement coming to this party, your sins are forgiven. You remember how it was said, the manner it was said. You begin to wonder, you begin to ask, are these things really true? One can say it is true, the other one can say it is not true. In the case of nollie prosequi, yes, it has come and said we did not find it. It was the office of the Attorney General. And remember, the office of the Attorney General has powers to take over, to discontinue.
I'm sorry, before you come in there, when he said Ebuka, he was referring to former Governor Willie Obiano.
Okay, so let's now go to the policy, because I don't want us to dwell so much on this, because we have plenty of things to talk about. I'm talking about what would have kicked off today in Nigeria, and now it has been postponed by the Nigerian police force. And if you go to X, you see that it's also getting attention, and many people have been saying a lot about this. Now, what are we talking about? The Nigerian police force yesterday okay, so is the issue about this very tinted glass permit. Now, yesterday, the Nigerian police force shifted the enforcement of the controversial digital tinted glass permit tax now to begin in October this year. This development, which will levy 16,000 naira tax on each vehicle with tinted windows yearly, was originally scheduled to take off today until a last-minute extension for another 52 days amid a chaotic registration process, allegations of extortion, panic, and pushbacks across state yesterday. Now, it's been estimated that the police is going to earn the sum of 94 billion yearly from this very scheme, which happens to be the additional tax era that people are already talking about, knowing that by January we are going to have a new tax era taking place. Now they are saying that the punishment for failing to secure this very permit should be between, arresting a motorist, fine, vehicle impoundment, and imprisonment for non-compliance. So police has now shifted this to October, saying that it's going to allow enough room, to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. But people have been reacting, saying that those who have gone to do this, that they experienced glitches, extortion, difficulty to do this thing. You have to drive long distance for you to be able to do this and what have you. Plenty issues have been raised. But I want to begin with the foundation, Tony, because there seems to be this craze for tinted glass in Nigeria. Let's understand, what is the essence of tinted glass in the vehicle?
It has, I think, the essence of tinted glass in the vehicle. One, it has a medical angle to it and security angle. These are generally two sides to tinted glass. There are those that sunlight affects so much, and it affects their vision. And that is why police also acknowledge that, yes, we agree that there are those that have issues with their eyes and they need such tinted to cover or to restrict the sun rays coming into their eyes. Get the permit so that we are aware. That's what the police is trying to say. Get a permit so that we'll be aware that, yes, it's a medical ground. That is one. And then there are those on the security ground. Now, why they were inside their car for security reasons. For those who may be against them, or those who may be after them, for kidnappers, for terrorists, for bandits, for armed robbers, they may not easily be seen. They may not even know when they're in the vehicle or not. That's for security reasons. And police will also tell you, yes, we are aware, but get a permit so that that will be documented that this is the reason. So these are the general.
On negative side too, there are those who might want to have it so that when they want to do evil in their vehicle,
definitely. And then that is for those who want it genuinely. Now let's talk about those who may use it to commit fraud or commit crime. There are those who would want it to conceal a lot. They may be running guns, they may have weapons, they may have kidnapped victims inside their car, they may have guns, they may be anything. They would want to use it to conceal whatever they are doing. So that is on the negative side.
Now there are those too who might want to have this, not because of the reasons we have just highlighted, but because they feel this is the trend.
And there are those who, just like you said, there are those who want to have it to show that we have arrived, to show class, to show that we are the government in power, things like that. So maybe social frenzy thing. There are those who also want to have it. So it depends on the reason. But one that is no-go area is the one that has to do with concealing crime or trying to use it to commit crime. So police believe that, because if you look at the law, because remember I've always said, my position on most things would always be on what the law says. Anytime we are not happy with the position of the law, we have representatives, we call on them. Please, that law that says this, that law that stipulates it, that law that provides it, work on it, repeal it. We don't want it again. But once it stands there, what does the law say? I want to say this because I'm aware that even Uriwa, the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, they are challenging the action and the powers of police to issue a permit. They believe that police has no powers to issue a permit.
Is it about the powers or about the cost here, Tony?
Both of them. Because if you are talking about the powers, definitely what comes from the power should be the cost as well. Even if you reduce the cost of such permit, even if you make it free, there are those that would say, is it in accordance with the law? Are we a lawful country? But I'm also concerned that if you look at what the law says, if you look at, because sometimes people will say, are you taking over the role of road safety or is police, but there are two agencies.
This isn't about road safety, it's about security.
No, because if you look at regulation 66 subsection 2 of the National Road Traffic Regulation 2012 made under the Federal Road Safety Commission Establishment Act, it requires anyone with tinted permit or glasses to obtain permit. That's what the regulation, there is a regulation which was made under the Federal Road Safety Commission Establishment Act. It requires anyone with tinted glass to obtain a permit. But that's
for what purpose here? Because when you initially spoke, you pointed out the purpose of security being why the police checks.
Now, I want to bring the angle of police. Why police probably comes into this and believes that they have to come in to prevent crime. Now, if you look at Section 4 of the Police Act of 2020, it empowers the police to regulate and control the use of vehicles for public safety and crime prevention. So they are coming from the angle of crime prevention. So having noted that Section 4 of the Police Act of 2020 gives a mandate to regulate and control the use of vehicles, but the issue of tinted was not pointed out there. So it is their own extrapolation, their own implying that tinted glasses could also abet crime, can also cause crime. So for them to wade in and also ensure that it is tamed. So, but if you look at that of federal road safety, issue of tinted glass permit was specifically mentioned that you obtain a permit.
Tony, so that's under law, which I don't know whether it has been repealed. That law was made under the military government of Nigeria. That was in 1991.
Yes.
It's called Motor Vehicles Prohibition and Tinted Glass Act of 1991. It was enacted by the federal military government then, and that very law actually restricted vehicles from using tinted glasses without authorization from the IGP. Has that law been repealed?
Remember, most of the laws, they were consolidated in 2004. Most of our laws. That's why sometimes you see CAP days, laws of the Federation, 2004. Some of our laws, they were actually repealed and consolidated. So I'm aware of the Motor Vehicle Prohibition of Tinted Glasses Act, CAP M21, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, formerly Decree 6 of 1991. It has been repealed in a way because it was actually repealed. Before now, it was the Decree number 6 of 1991. And Section 1, subsection 1 of that very law in question says that no one shall tint a vehicle glass, whether a factory installed or aftermarket, without permission from the appropriate authority and without a good cause. And then it talks about health, security reasons, and many other things. So
let's round off on this conversation after this commercial break.
Okay, stay with us.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
North Constituency 1 orukwa ka o si eru mgbe anyị nwere ohere ijikọ aka ọnụ wepụta onye ga-anọchite anya anyị na Anambra State House of Assembly n'ụlọ omebe iwu Anambra Steeti. Mimi Ifeoma Azikiwe bụ nwaanyị nwere ọgụgụ isi nakwa mmụta zuru oke, nwaanyị na-eme obi ebere. Ọ bụ nwaanyị dị mma Chukwu zitere anyị ije nọchite anya anyị na 16th n'ọnwa Ọgọst n'afọ a. Ka anyị rụpụtanụ n'igwe kwado Mimi Ifeoma Azikiwe site n'ibinyere otu pati APGA aka n'ebe esere ọkụkọ. Ebe ka anyị ga-ebinye aka ebe esere ọkụkọ tụnyere Mimi Ifeoma Azikiwe maka nnọchite anya bụ Igba.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, Obachi Chane Tozialo. Wendy's bread, Mama Papa they like Wendy's bread, Nachi Chane Nyandu. Wendy's bread, even children they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, Ninta. Wendy's bread, you get the better tasty we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's your Obachi Choma. Wendy's bread, the champion.
Wendy's bread, your tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, 2nd Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread. You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Alright, so you are listening to The Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM, and of course we have to bring you on board now for us to hear from you before we get to complete the analysis, because it's quite interesting. We'll get to that, but now we have to bring you in to hear from you what you think about what we have been saying so far on this platform regarding the topical issues we have brought about this very morning. Okay, so call us on our phone line 0803 221 6973 0803 827 6694. Please call in, mention your name, your location, and they go straight to the point. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Franklin and Chisom. Good morning to you all. This is Anthony Mitchell. I'm reaching you this morning from Onitsha.
Go on, Mr. Anthony.
From the hot digital topic that is spread around the nation, this bombs incident. From the video, every one of us watched, made up as watched it. I saw the altercation and the reaction only, and I saw how the airport officials responded. Their conduct was professional because when I saw the good news, it was this thing. And when I heard that it was wrong for the air hostess to block the passenger, I think to in such a way where the passenger is actually reckless and rude. So the point allowing her into the airport can cause further damage and fracture. So I saw all those how the people inspired. I see that this person is in a professional manner because you don't have to this to the starter people or the anti-touch people in this state, and you will see that reaction. So on the part of the law, as an analyst saying, even the one who was bundled away, he said it shouldn't be. When the passenger is excessively rude to the company, to the people, and he's resisting arrest, because the way he responded to the people that came in the airplane, he was resisting. That's why they had to force her. However, she followed her, they could have border. So when we look at it, for me, they comported themselves professionally, unlike what we see these days, even across the state.
All right. So thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Franklin.
You're welcome on board.
Thank you very much. Chief Tony, good morning, sir.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
You see, my name is Odazi. We do very funny things in this country, things that cannot even happen in a banana republic, not to talk of a civilized crime. Nigeria is not a bush country. Nigeria is not a banana republic. What's failed us is how to uphold the rule of law. That lady that was deliberately humiliated, unfortunately, we have no rule of law and she does not even know her rights. I was in the aircraft. I was a flight stewardess for quite some time, UAC, Panam, Nigeria Airways. The passenger has rights, every right. They don't have any right to begin to bundle her, whether she slapped a person or she slapped anybody, even the pilot. They have a way. Get proper train security. We always have them at airports that handle such situations, that will persuade her and get her get her out of the aircraft. You don't bundle her up to the essence of stripping her. And we think it is fun. We think somewhere they were right. She was rude. What rude? You forgot she bought a ticket? If passengers don't buy the ticket, will you have to walk in the aircraft? If people don't buy tickets, will you have aircraft flying? Even if the aircraft belongs to a bomb state or whatever, if they set money, her name sounds like she's from there too. What are we doing in Nigeria?
All right.
We keep going from frying pan to fire every time. Then you got some people that will come up and start defending a cause they know is bad, to put it mildly, disgraceful, scandalous. They were lucky that probably that lady or girl or woman does not know her rights. If we know our rights and we obey the rule of law in this country.
All right, thank you.
Professor Kiamo has spoken well.
Thank you. Thank you. So, let me also say this. You know the videos we've been watching online. I discovered something yesterday because it happened to me. There are people online who just wanted to milk out of the situation. You post a video, they take the video, edit it to suit what they want to push out as a narrative. It happened to me. Like it happened to me real yesterday. Hello, good morning. Hello. Okay. Hello, good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning. Your name?
Obai Koko from Onitsha.
Obai Koko inona Koko.
From Onitsha.
Okay, go on.
I was listening. I don't want to say anything, but like I can see now, I have to talk. So I'm trying to say I don't want to say anything. So the few words I have.
All right, thank you. Since you don't want to say anything, all right, thank you for calling. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, your name?
This is Akamere.
I didn't hear your name.
Akamere.
Okay, do me this very favor. Walk away from your radio set.
All right. Akamere. I'm calling from Figi.
Okay, go on.
Okay. I just want to react on all these our security agencies, like EFCC. My brother, my speaker has already told us that these agencies, they are there to, what they are showing us is that they are there for the executive, I mean federal government. Because look at the way they arrested Tamboa. I want to ask, if this man, Tamboa, is supporting the re-election of President Tinubu, is singing his praise, or wearing his t-shirt, Tinubu for 2027, will EFCC arrest him? That is the question I want to ask. So that is telling us that the EFCC, they are there for this federal government. They are not there to do all these things they are doing is just jamboree. Look at what my speaker has said. When someone took them to court told them that you are not the one that will tell them when to do their work. That means the work is reserved for them. When you fight the executive, when you fight the federal government, they will use them to fight you. That is what the thing is telling us. So, and it's no good. They need to be independent. If they want to serve, let them do their work as it's supposed to be. So I want to, about that lady, what happened to that lady. I thought it's like the lady was really very stubborn. Actually, the way they bundle her out is not good. I don't like it. But the lady is stubborn. Had you seen this thing happen while they were on transit, what would have happened to the life of the other people in that meeting? So she's supposed to be banned not to enter that city. Let her enter road. So that if this thing happens, life will not be lost.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, I like this very voice. Good morning, your name?
Yeah, I'm Zubi.
From where?
From Onitsha.
Go on, sir.
Okay, I want to talk on from the Ibom danger and the crew.
Go on.
Okay, the thing is this anyway, and this just it calls for a reality measure, as in this set of Gen Z. The way they handle things is not the right way anyway. In as much as the way they bundle the girl out of the aircraft is not right. But two wrongs can never make a right. Because I saw the picture the girl made, the video the girl made. But in as much as that, the thing has escalated to that extent that this is unnecessary. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because in all these things, at least I've traveled to India, I've traveled to Pakistan anyway, and I see how things work there. Our airline doesn't really make sense in terms of all those things, but I still put my blame on that girl. You trying to raise your hands on an there was this thing that there was an assertion that she made, like she's going to show the bosser like how much does she end or something like that. All those things are not necessary if it's happening in this part of the world because of the way we treat, we like treating ourselves like the high and mighty. So this thing calls for parents and our society. We need to train the girl child very well because I don't really know. A girl can fight like that in public. What are you trying to do? Seriously, it doesn't really make sense. So that's my own destiny anyway. They should know how to try to treat that thing well. In terms of trying to give her the life ban or that thing is unnecessary. It's unnecessary, but still, the girl didn't do well. Likewise, the way the crew member handled the whole thing is not even professional.
Okay. All right. Thank you. He talked about braggadocio. Hello. Good morning. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. Your name?
My name is Kings.
Your name is Kings, right?
Yes.
Okay. Go on, sir.
Okay. My take on this is for the airplane or whatever collision. The lady is I don't know if she's trying to be famous or something, but they don't have right to bundle her out of the plane because she paid for the plane. Then for the Tamboa, on a serious note in Nigeria, unless we stop being influential, if we stop being the government or an individual stop having influence on anything in Nigeria, that's the only way progress and Nigeria will be good. Because a lot of things that happen is everything is being influenced, whereby the government have influence on someone that is in top or has someone at the top have influence to everything that he controls. I don't know if you're with me.
Okay, just try to round off.
So the influence is one thing. Influence is one thing that is bringing issues in Nigeria. Don't worry, I will call the Inspector General of the police. Don't worry. Even if you kill someone, don't worry. It's just a little thing. Sorry that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think we have to. Let's go to the Facebook page now and see the reactions we have there before we get to see how much time we have to accommodate more calls.
All right, then on Facebook, we are going to start off with some of the comments here. Do not forget, it's Udala Radio 104.7. Maolebara says, so it is now that they are telling us that Peter Obi won 2023 election. Where is that coming from? They are provoking us by reminding us what we all know. Then what next? Now that the truth is revealed, where do we go from here? Mahmoud and judiciary should bury their heads in shame. All those who put us in this quagmire must not escape God's punishment. Okay, Master Okwe says, advise Nigerians, if you're offended in any way of your human rights, kindly seek for advice from legal professionals or security officers like the police officers for urgent attention. Ikene Kuruke says, Tony, if I block you on a public walkway, the best you could do is to get a machete and butcher me. Is that what you're saying? I bet the only thing I have to say to that is when you look at people's reactions, please do not forget your actions that led to their reactions. That's a very manipulative way of thinking. Never forget your actions, because for every action there is an equal or opposite reaction. Ugochukwu Frank, the little weakness of the young lady was anger. The air hostesses set her up for the public shame and she fell for it. That woman needs questioning and sanctions. Comparing ValueJet scenario, the cabin crew were more professional yet resisted the temptation by Kwamwan. Exactly the point. Professionalism. How did the persons who were the IBOM Air officials, how did they manage the situation? How did they even behave? They just kept coming in droves. I'm even recalling the video now. In their numbers, next thing, another person has joined. They are holding her by this hand, dragging her by this dress, holding her legs. It was a very sorry sight. James God says it's shabby to lampoon the airline authorities that they were rude in the Comfort in Mason incident, when it's glaringly obvious she's on the loose to assault and devour anybody who seems to intervene for whatever reason. So condemning the air hostess for blocking her from further impending danger is needless. From the video, the security personnel were professional in their approach to her. Most times it's easier to condemn than done. I think that's just a part of the video that you saw, James. Probably if you saw everything, and if they would release probably footages from when she allegedly tried to leave the aircraft and somebody was told to block her and hold her back till security agents arrived.
Let me ask at this point, do we have CCTV in aircraft?
I think possibly there should be.
We are supposed to have.
But then, because that should help in investigation.
It should help in
Definitely,
investigation.
especially a non-tampered one.
You know, I want to say this. I'm not in any way supporting this girl, because for me, if I say this, because she's gonna be somebody's husband, and she's gonna be somebody's mother.
I mean, somebody's wife,
and then somebody's wife, you know, and then she's gonna be somebody. And then let's put this thing: why I'm being so harsh on these institutions, because institutions are bigger than individual.
Okay, let's finish with the comments
than individuals.
Here. There are a couple more. Chimese Stephen says, Dr. Tony, you mean to say that institutions can be the judge on their own case? Please relate it to school giving punishment to students or expelling them from school for misconduct. Chikudi Joshua says, so some universities that do impose fines or penalties on students and sometimes ban or rusticate them from school are violating the law. And can a student who suffers from these aforementioned sue his or her school? Sebastian Igwe, it's really unfortunate seeing this country called Nigeria with all of these weak institutions we found ourselves in. Mr. Speaker, without mincing words, the EFCC is a tool working for the ruling party just to witch hunt political opponents. We could recall the theory of Adams Oshomole, which says when you come into the APC, your sins are forgiven. So that implies that if you're not in the APC, you are a sinner and you're good to be visited by the so-called anti-graft agency. Very unfortunate. Nigeria is finished under the watch of the APC-led administration.
All right. So institutions or agencies set up by the 1999 Constitution or by the Act of the Parliament, can't it make a rule that guides its operation and enforce it?
Very good question. The extent of the rules will not be overreaching one. I must let you know that Nigerian courts have frequently overturned university disciplinary outcomes, in fact, including expulsions, suspensions, or fine, when due process is lacking and when there is no fair hearing. I'm going to list one or two. I'm aware that even Odromakin
so Tony, for some minutes time.
Okay, because
I want to, so what you're saying is that these institutions, these agencies, commissions, they can make their own rules, provided it does not violate the spirit and letters of the 1999 Constitution.
Apart from the spirit and letters of the 1999, there are some things you cannot include in your rules. Your rules should be merely on little issues. But if it has to do with expulsion, fine. Definitely, if these things are handed over to the student can sue. And then I was about saying something about our youths, because it's not peculiar to women. It's not peculiar to women. In fact, when I saw the behavior of that young lady, I was so ashamed of youths. Honestly, I was so ashamed. Okay,
some people are also ashamed of the elderly when Kwamwan put up his show.
Very well. See, let me say this: institutions will continue to be bigger than individuals. That's why our major focus should be more on institutions. Definitely, we can come back to our families, our homes, our societies, our units, and ask these questions: where did all this start from? The action of the hostess and the reaction of the young lady, they are not equal. Blocking you is not equal. When it comes to slapping the person who blocked you, they are not equal. We have to stay the truth here. And the much the young lady could have done would have been to push her away, not to slap. That is, in fact, slapping in football is a red card offense. You can block somebody in football very well and the person cannot do anything. If you push that person, it could be a yellow card. But once you raise your hand to slap them, it's a red card, because the two actions, both action and reaction, they are not equal and opposite. We must say the truth here.
All right. So Chisom, we have to go back. There's this argument that somebody has put on about this very thing, because you see this issue about what happened in the aircraft. You can talk about it for the entire day, and you have so much to talk about. You know, somebody was asking, based on what Aisha Yosef put up on social media.
What did she put up?
You know, she was asking whether the air hostess has the right to block the passenger, and somebody's asking, you shouldn't be asking whether she has the right. You should be asking if she has the duty to block the woman.
The truth, but
the
she doesn't have the right and she doesn't have the duty. It is not in her duty to block the young lady. It is not in her right. She does not have the truth.
Now,
all I have to say is,
for somebody who resisted arrest, how could they have?
You wouldn't say she was resisting arrest. People should not. She has not been. If you want to arrest somebody, you have to put it to the person you're under arrest. Was anybody mentioned to her that she is under arrest?
Or did it come off as being bullied?
He wouldn't say she was resisting arrest, because if you are to be arrested, the first thing that comes from the person who is to arrest will tell you you are under arrest. That was the first statement. So at that point, it dawns on you that you are being under arrest.
We are reacting based on the snippets we saw.
All I have to say is that
based on what we saw,
hope that they bring footages of every single second that went by while that incident happened.
I saw another one when the young lady was being conveyed to court. She was fighting with airport.
That one too.
She was inside the
not
bus.
fighting. She kicked the
she was
the airport
holding.
security.
See, that young lady, I don't know, she needs a psychiatric help.
All right, so as we speak now, I don't know whether Showore is trying to help somebody, because he is at the NYC borders in Abuja now protesting about, in favor of Raye, whose certificate was withheld. So many things happening in the country as we speak. But we thank you for always being there, join us this very program. Because
maybe we find time to talk about Legacy FM, that the management suspended the manager for criticizing the government. Maybe another time.
All right, so we have to leave.
We hope that we all do our best to have the Nigeria we desire. And for my ladies, I beg you to please comport yourself. We are in a male-dominated world, and as much as we like to think that the message of change, the message of equality is catching on, we still have a lot of exceptions. And so the first thing you should remind yourself of is the fact that you need to comport yourself, and you do not win a war by doing the wrong things or setting off, time bombs.
All right, my name is Franklin and Chisom. Thank you all for listening. Good morning.